Welcome back to the Jespective, where I do cultural commentary, go over some life lessons, and everything in between. Guys, I understand it has been quite some time, but I am back, and today we got a lot to talk about. Today, we're going to talk about and break down and go over the mess that's going on right now in Minneapolis. And I am talking about the killing of Renee Good by ICE agents. It is another example of the incompetence and absolute lunacy of the current administration. It's like, honestly, we're going to break it down, and it's just really, really crazy to see. And it's not only incompetence, but it is a complete lack of accountability on top of the wanting and willingness to gaslight the hell out of the American people. And truly, it's just like it's tragic in more ways than one. And it's another reminder that we got a couple more years before there is like any accountability of this. So let's go through it together. Hopefully we can break it down, get rid of any false narratives that are out there, and just use our eyes to not be gaslit into seeing something that is otherwise completely obvious to everyone. So without further ado, let's get into it, guys. And these cans are pretty damn big. I feel like it's kind of hard to put them on. All right. All right, here we go. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to start with the video, and we're going to have two segments. We're going to look at two separate angles. First, we're going to look at the regular video as it happens, no commentary from news sources or anything like that. We're going to break it down ourselves. Then we're also going to look at a separate angle, which is from a video coming out from the officer himself, and we'll get into why he was recording this with a cell phone versus a body camera, and why some folks are using that to sort of spin a separate narrative as well, right? So let's get into the first piece, and then we'll continue to move on from there. Sorry, guys, it is a lot here. Oof. All right. I feel like sometimes this is a bit rough to kind of go through because you're going through Twitter sometimes to try to find the information or the videos, and like you really just have no idea what you'll see and what pops up. So there's a little bit of a sanity check that has to be done sometimes going on Twitter because it's the Wild West. Anyways, without further ado, guys, let's get right on into the initial video. My apologies. Let's start that again. Oh my days. And this is a separate angle of the same situation, unfortunately. Oh, man. All right.
What the fuck? Dude!
All right, so, like, already this is like, man. All right, already this is just something crazy and a absolute tragic way to start the new year. As you can see, a lot of folks are trying to claim that, man, and by a lot of folks, I mean the government, Trump administration. They're trying to claim that the ICE agent here that's going to take out the gun and start shooting was in fear of his life, and that the lady tried to run him over after basically making a threat with her vehicle and car, right? Now, obviously, it's BS here, because what we're going to watch here, guys, as you see, is there's some sort of tussle here. They're trying to pull her out the vehicle, right? For whatever reason, however we got here, this is where we're at now. Now, at this point, what's in question as we're moving forward, it's this officer right here. Now, this guy, we're going to see in another video, walked in front of the car, number one. And it's not that she's turning her wheel towards him to get him. In fact, what we'll start to see in another angle is she turns the wheel to avoid and get away from him. Either way, that wasn't enough. He had to go ahead and first do a first shot right here into the windshield, right as he was still in front of her, but she's turning away. And then he proceeds over here to shoot 2 more times as he's driving away. So we're going to take it back and just see this part one more time as it unfolds.
No! No! Shame! Shame! Oh my fucking God! What the fuck? What the
And as to make it worse for their utter complete incompetence, they shot somebody as they're escaping. But mind you, this lady is not like a suspect. This isn't like an armed drug dealer. This isn't like El Chapo or someone getting away in the car. This is an American citizen. Okay? This is a civilian American citizen with rights just like everyone else. And understand that under no circumstances, if someone is getting away like this and you have a whole bunch of cops around with your license plate, is it a justifiable act to just start shooting at them as they quote unquote get away? Like, mind you, these law enforcement officers, they have license plates. They can literally just follow you wherever you go, or you get away. No matter what, you're not really going to escape. And we're going to see in the next video, she mentioned that before she even got in the car and left. And these guys still felt the need to shoot her as they get away. And for some people, this is justified. Just like, understand, there is absolutely no justification here. You're not going to convince me in any way, shape, or form that non-compliance with a police officer is a death sentence. Anyone who's saying that or believes that or thinks that is just simply absolutely ridiculous. This is tragic, and it makes no damn sense. Again, it's another instance of the complete and utter incompetence of ICE and the current administration, because these guys are just running out in the streets all over the country like masked murderers and masked thugs, just like abducting people and afraid to show their faces because they don't want to take the public backlash that comes along with it. But again, it's absolutely ridiculous in how they are operating and how they are conducting themselves and how they do anything. It's just utter and sheer incompetence. We're gonna take a look at the next clip just to get a different angle so that we can understand what immediately tried to spin out from this narrative, because like, I got some quotes here from some of the folks, but we're going to start to hear some things along the lines of like, this officer shot her in self-defense. He had no choice. He had to do it, and all of this other BS. But and the clip we're going to show you right now was used as a means to try to justify that. But it actually, in my view, tells a completely different story and something entirely absent and divorced from the reality that the administration is trying to sell us. All right, so let's take a look at the next clip here. All right. All right, again, just to break this down, for whatever reason, again, completely unprofessional. I don't even know what these guys are doing. The officer has his cell phone out, and that's what we're watching right here. We're watching the clip from the video, the cell phone video of the officer himself. Whether that makes sense or not, it is what it is. Let's go through it.
Change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking veteran. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car. Whoa!
All right. So we're going to go through this again, okay? Because this is like, man, I'm actually in shock by this, because this kind of tells you everything you need to see. Number one, let's go through this again together and let's talk about what's actually happening here, okay? So first, the woman in the car is Renee Good. This is actually the woman that was killed. The woman on the other side of the car was her wife. And the story, as I understand it, is that they just came back from like dropping off their a kid to school. Okay, so now we have a mom, or we have a kid who is going to be missing their mom when they got back home. Right. So that's the first thought there. Tragic and absolutely unnecessary. Secondly, what we're looking at here is that these guys are walking around with their cell phone for whatever reason. All right. And if we were to go back from the other video, what's happening right now is that this guy has the cell phone to start in his right hand, I believe. This is how this is going. All right. So now he's coming around the car here, he's recording her. Now, if you see right here, she's going to say it, which is very true. Like, we're not changing our license plate every day. These people have their license plate. They can easily, if they wanted to, come back and find them if they feel so aggrieved by the moment here.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. Show your face.
Right? That's fine. I'm not mad at you. Like, it's like, it really doesn't have to be all that. But these guys can't help themselves because they are on a 24/7 power trip all the time. Absolutely ridiculous again.
That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking country.
All right. So, the wife there is being antagonistic, but guess what? It's a free country. You have the right to free speech. She's not doing anything. She's not making a threat. She's just talking a little shit. You know what? You can do that, and that's still not a death sentence at the end of the day. All right. So again, anyone thinking otherwise is ridiculous. Let's keep it going.
You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car.
All right. So what's happening right here, and again, this is kind of like put together from the other video, is that the officer who's recording, I don't know if we're going to see it here or it just happened and I missed it because I was looking away. But what happens is that he has his cell phone in his right hand. He's then going to switch it to his left hand so that he can put his hand on his holster where his gun is. All right. So this guy is already starting to think, how can I escalate this moment, is what I'm trying to tell you right now. Before what happens, he is already preparing for what's about to happen. Again, you can call it anticipation, but I call it completely unnecessary behavior when it comes to who you're dealing with and the situation at hand. There is just no reason for him to have his hand on his gun in the first place. There's no reason for him to even think it needs to escalate that far. All right, let's keep going as we get to the next moment. All right, I don't know if y'all heard that, but he proceeds to call her an effing bitch right there at the end. Okay, so what does that mean? What does that instantly tell us? That he didn't do this out of self-defense. He did this out of anger. The dude was just upset that they drove away instead of hopping out of the car the way that they asked them to. This is not self-defense. This is anger. Let's make it very, very clear what this is, okay? Anyone saying anything else, again, is being absolutely ridiculous and is absolutely missing what is happening at this moment. These guys are just on the biggest power trip, like 24/7 power trips. So there are countless videos of ICE doing dumb shit like this. And seriously, it winds up being like, I haven't covered too much on this channel because at some point, is there just a mental fatigue from all the BS coming out of this administration and how ICE handles and conducts themselves. But it's just like this one I just couldn't pass up. And I feel like I've kind of like it's just like I just see so much things on my timeline on Twitter that it just gets crazy at some point. Things like this were not common in a past era, but now this is just like an everyday occurrence. It's crazy. I mean, I really don't know what to do with this. First comment of the day: unhinged and unprofessional. Shout out to you, Joran. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just trying to understand what, like, it makes no sense. Like in fact, and it's not with this officer, but there is some news out there that I've been hearing about in reference to and I got to find that bit of information, but something about the training window for ICE being shrunk down from what it previously was. Like I think it at some point was like maybe 6 months to become an ICE officer, and there is some reporting out there stating that it has been shrunk down to 47 days. You ask why it's 47 days? It's because Donald Trump is the 47th president. If that doesn't explain the marriage between narcissism and incompetence, I don't know what does. But we'll see if we can get more of that information together and live fact check it or something here. But anyway, shout out to you, Jordan. Thanks for joining the live stream as always. All right, man, give me a second, guys. I'm going to I want to get together the next piece here. So just to kind of give a summary here, what we've just witnessed was the killing of a woman for absolutely no reason, right? This woman was shot for simply not complying, and not complying with an officer in this particular case is not a death sentence. Especially again, when you have all the resources in the world to go and apprehend them later, if that's what you really wanted to do. They're saying that, hey, they were blocking the road and whatever. Okay, sure. Again, not a death sentence. Dude overreacted, claimed self-defense when it was really straight up anger. Okay. And then what makes this even worse, and it kind of speaks to their incompetence even more, is that after this moment on the scene, after the car crashed, this lady was sitting there shot in the head. Okay. And there happened to be a doctor on the scene, and they tried to approach them and ask if they could start administering aid. And these ICE officers turned them down. Okay. Saying that, oh, we got our own people coming on the scene, but these people ain't show up for about 15 minutes. And again, in the era of the internet, we actually had this exchange to watch live together. So give me a second. I'm going to pull it up right now. And again, just more utter incompetence. So that's gonna be great there. Okay. Oh man, got like 1,000 links here trying to put them together, and at some point you realize it's very difficult to do it all. All right, here we go. Okay, I think I should have got my clips together before I started on the stream. Maybe that would have been better. All right. So again, what we're going to watch right now is a eyewitness account of right after the car crashed, and again, a neighbor, someone on the scene, was asking to be able to go administer aid, because that's exactly what you do when this happens. Because these guys ain't do it. They just shot her, called her an effing bitch, and kept it moving, right? Like, these guys didn't care whether or not she lived or died. In fact, some of the information about what happens with the officer is that rather than dealing with this the way he normally would, I think this guy left. I'm forgetting some of the information, and perhaps we'll look it up here together. But like, rather than following the normal protocol that you would do, this guy left. All right, and at some point, I hear that he went to the hospital to deal with his quote unquote injuries. But in reality, this guy's not injured. He's not affected. He wasn't even hit. It just, to me, sounds like his lawyer advising him that you need to make a case for yourself and show up and have a paper trail at the hospital. But we'll get to that in a bit, I guess. But for now, let's look at what happens when someone else needs the attention of a hospital. The lady who just got shot in the face for no damn reason.
Can I go check a pulse?
No! Back up! Now!
I'm a physician.
Hey, listen, we understand. We got EMS coming. I get it. Just give us a second. We have medics on scene. We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where are they? How can I relax? You just killed my fucking neighbor. You caught butter in the fucking face. You killed my fucking neighbor. How do you show up to work every day? How the fuck do you do this every day? You're killing my neighbors. You're stealing my neighbors. What the fuck, man?
All right. I mean, completely valid crash out from the lady on the scene there, because like, I mean, yeah, right. Like these guys just show up, they kill somebody, and then like, it's also one of those things, that dude who said, we don't care, or whatever he said, it's like, I know they all don't respond that way. I'm not blaming them all. But for the guy who did, it's like, my guy, Y'all have guns. You are all here in military tactical gear. Someone was literally shot and then they ran into a tree. Again, like you don't like that is completely absent of the proper protocol. You don't go shooting at someone as they escape. What if there was someone walking on the sidewalk? They would have just got hit by a moving car because y'all decided to be Rambo and just start shooting at people as they're driving away, right? And then on top of that, it's like, do y'all have any grace for what is going on here? Someone was shot in the head and people are asking to see if they can administer them aid. We don't understand how bad it is at this point. It is likely that she was gone right there on the scene. But like, that's not how this works. When something happens like that, you immediately try to render aid. You try to save them in any way you possibly can. And these guys just like, they really can give, they really don't give a damn about these things. That's what makes this all really, really sad. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over one more clip about this shooting, and then we'll start to go over some of the reactions from some of our political leaders and what they have to say about it. But before we do, there's going to be a particular gentleman that's going to show up, and he is someone who's going to break this down. Basically, what we're going to have here is this dude is going to break it down. He is like a 25-year federal agent, a veteran. He's going to break down why this entire thing is BS. So if we're not, you don't want to listen to me yap about my unprofessional opinion on this. We can get someone on the scene who actually has an educated view on it. So let's take this one here. I'm going to speed it up a little bit just for the flow, but we'll be getting his message regardless.
As cops, we're responsible for every single round that leaves our weapon.
I'll take it down a little bit. Just let y'all know, I typically watch content at like 1.5, speed like that, especially depending on how they talk. But I have to be cognizant of not everyone being me and how this might be a little jarring at times. So 1.25, speed it up a little bit. But that way we can get through the content together at a decent pace.
Valier is a 25-year career federal agent who most recently oversaw use of force investigations for Homeland Security Investigations, or HSI. We asked him what to make of the tactics used by federal agents in the fatal Minnesota shooting.
In my 25 years, I've done hundreds of vehicle stops. If someone is fleeing, that is not a justification for the use of deadly force.
In this moment, the officer crosses in front of the vehicle,
obviously,
opens fire on the driver, 37-year-old Renee Good. The government says the officer shot the driver in self-defense.
She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over.
But the footage tells a different story. In this clip, we see Good waving cars by, and one car drives past her stopped vehicle.
Like they're somewhat impeding the ICE guys, although you did see the SUV drive around them.
Next, officers exit the car and approach Good's vehicle.
Right out of the gate, it's escalatory in nature. And then the agent with the black mask reaches for the driver's side door handle to try to open it. From the video, like the reverse lights are on.
From this other video angle,
again, like these guys don't have any skills in de-escalation. It's always straight up power trip, escalation. They like completely unhinged. These guys have zero chill. Keep it going.
You can see that the officer has already crossed in front of the car. He's holding a cell phone.
They are trying to essentially take some sort of recording or photograph of the driver to show or identify her as a antagonist to their enforcement operations. What he does is cross in front of and stay in front of a occupied running vehicle. You should not be intentionally putting yourself in front of a vehicle unless absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just common sense, right? Like, there is no situation where you would intentionally put yourself in harm's way. If you believe that this lady might run you over, then why would you stand in front of the car? That's the first thought. Number two, she cut her wheel so that she wouldn't run you over, and you shot her anyway. It's the worst of all worlds. Put yourself in danger, then use lethal force to react to said danger that you put yourself in. And on top of that, it isn't danger that you were even actually in because you didn't get hit. You didn't get hurt. You were not in the path of where she was driving. But you just had to do it anyway because, again, you were upset, not threatened. Big difference.
And with a cell phone in his left hand, he draws his pistol with his right hand. And in very quick succession, rattles off 3 rounds.
Under the Department of Homeland Security's use of force policy, firearms may not be discharged solely to disable a moving vehicle, and shooting at a moving vehicle is tightly restricted.
So my training was that you cannot use deadly or lethal force solely to stop a fleeing vehicle. Do you have another option other than pulling the trigger?
The Trump administration maintains the agent opened fire to avoid being run over, but the direction of the tires appears to be facing away from the officer to the right. There's still a dispute as to whether the officer was grazed or struck by the Honda. He continues to fire even after moving out of the way of the vehicle.
If she is intentionally trying to hit that agent or officer, those tires are pointed in the opposite direction, and the vehicle's trajectory after the shots would be continuing to the left.
After 3 shots, the car veers away.
Oh my God!
According to Valier, both the officer's gunfire and the car accelerating could have put agents and the surrounding crowd of bystanders in danger.
These are all factors that law enforcement officers have to weigh before pulling the trigger.
All right. Now, listen, obviously, you didn't need a professional in the law enforcement. You didn't need a 25-year veteran to come out here and tell you that. That's all common sense, right? But like, I think it helps as to have someone with the context and background as to what some of the protocols are. These guys start to act like they can just go out and do whatever it is that they want to do. In fact, it gets even worse because after this all happens, like you would think the original or the initial reaction in a decent world would be, hey, let's at least get to the bottom of this. Let's do an investigation, right? Let us not jump to conclusions, even though we all know what we just saw. But again, that is not something that the current administration can do. So the first thing that they all do is they immediately jump out the window and start to say that the officer is completely innocent and he did nothing wrong. And this comes across from all the corners that you would expect. And it's actually just straight up embarrassing. So first on the list, because we always got to put him first, is Donald Trump himself with this Truth Social post, which is actually, to be very honest here, it is beyond ridiculous because I don't even think he saw the video in this initial post. He probably was told about it from someone else. And in true Donald Trump fashion, hey, police officer on my team, the lady they shot is probably some liberal, so I'm against them anyway. Who cares? I'm gonna jump out the window and just defend the guy reflexively, which is exactly what he's gonna do. So we're gonna read Trump's initial Truth Social post together to see how ridiculous it is. And again, in another episode of like, what if Obama was as ridiculous as the leader of the free world, or even sleepy Uncle Joe himself? Because say what you want about Joe Biden, he would never do some BS like this. Okay, immediately after a tragedy like that, and he never has. All right, so we just we need to stop with this false equivalence because it's complete nonsense. All right, so here we go. Immediately after the killing of Renee Good, and we have video to see it. Right, so this is like going to start a cycle we're going to see here with this administration and how they respond to this, which is do not believe your lying eyes because you guys don't know what you're talking about. You don't even know what you're seeing. All right, so let's go through this together. Second, get a little water first though. Long Trump message, man. All right, here we go. I have just viewed the 47th president of these United States, Donald Trump. Here we go. I've just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It is a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator, and a woman driving the car was very disorderly. Okay, here we go. Obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer who seems to have shot her in self-defense. Did we watch the same video? Because apparently not. Okay, this is where the gaslighting begins. All right, not to mention Kristi Noem, and we'll get to her in a second. The first thing she said is that this lady who just died on camera for no damn reason was a domestic terrorist. Okay, we're just getting started though. Let's keep it going with what the president of the United States has to say about a tragic event captured on camera for everybody to see. Based on the attached clip, it is hard to believe he is alive. Oh man. Oh man. But he is now recovering in the hospital. This situation is being studied in its entirety. But the reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left wing is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers and ICE agents on a daily basis. Do y'all see the BS we are dealing with right now? This guy can't even be president for like 0.2 seconds. He cannot be president for everybody for a half a second. It is always left versus right. Every single thing he views in his life is a left versus right dynamic. And what makes this even worse is dude can't even run again, which means like the best he can do right now is just try to be the best president for everybody, make a real legacy, and move on. But like he just cannot help himself. This dude cannot help himself. We have a video that we can all watch like together, and we've all seen it together. And he is still telling you that the guy got ran over, and we are surprised he's even alive today. You have to have not seen it and are just making shit up at this point, or you did see it and you don't care because there are no consequences for this type of BS in the modern era for Trump. Let's keep it going. Let's finish this random long message here. Okay, here we go. They are just trying to do the job of making America safe. We need to stand by and protect our law enforcement officers from the radical left movement of violence and hate. President Donald J. Trump. Now, here's the funny thing about this. And by funny, I mean ridiculous. Okay. I actually think Trump didn't see it when he wrote this because what winds up happening later on, and I'm going to try to show this here. Let's see what we have. Is that Donald Trump is actually he actually wound up doing an interview with the New York Times shortly after this, and there are reporters in the room with him. And they basically straight up ask him like, hey, like, did you see this? Like, because he starts to say, hey, you know, like the video is crazy and none of that should have happened. And they basically press him like, oh, like, I think at one point, he has people in the room, and I think he asked them to pull the video up. And I think that's the first time he winds up seeing the video. I think someone told him what happened. They kind of gave him the, hey, you know, Mr. President, this is what happened. And he decided to just hop on Truth Social and just go with the vibes of like left, right, police officers being attacked. I'm just going to go and defend ICE. But like, he doesn't realize like this type of situation is exactly what makes everyone hate ICE right now. Like, guys, we have to be very, very clear. Whether you feel this way or not, when Trump got into office, there actually was a bigger appetite in this country for stronger immigration enforcement. Now, whether that is because of a successful campaign and blaming all of the woes that come out of COVID and the world's problems at that point on immigrants or anything else, whatever you want to say, or just like a general feeling of like, hey, we need law and order or whatever, like whatever you want to say, understand that when Trump got voted into office, he and his view was actually polling pretty high in this country. Not like crazy high, but like I think there was a majority support for stronger immigration enforcement. Again, whether or not you say the narrative with the campaign that had people feeling that was correct, incorrect, it doesn't matter at this point. That's just simply what it was. But now for the people who voted based on that, everyone's starting to feel a lot differently now that they're seeing ICE run in the streets with masks on, completely breaking the rule of law. And it's terrible. And everything about this situation, again, is just another reminder of the incompetence of this administration. And what we're going to see here is a moment, or at least I hope I could show you the moment of Trump, again, just doubling down in all his failure and ridiculousness and inability to manage or lead in moments of crisis, and show how he just reflexively picked a side and started running with it. All right. So anyways, to go back to this point, basically what winds up happening is that they're in the office with Trump, and at some point, whether I think he is actually saying like, let me see the video. Then they show him the video and they're like, well, do you still kind of feel that way? he kind of backtracks a little bit. But here we have a little snippet. Hopefully this is good enough. Let's see what we got.
Well, if you take a look at the tape, I saw the same tape that you must have seen. She behaved horribly. And then she ran him over. She didn't try to run him over.
The video didn't look like he was run over.
It's a terrible scene.
Yeah.
We all agree on
You say it's horrible to watch. You said that on Truth Social.
I think it's horrible
do you
to
think
watch.
that goes
I hate to see
too
it.
far?
Yeah. Analysis by the New York Times showed the motorist driving away from, not toward, a federal officer when he opened fire. So like literally like every news organization, every single person around the globe, everyone with eyes was able to observe this information to determine like, no, she was trying to drive away. He wasn't trying to hit the dude. This is not self-defense. What are we talking about here? But of course, Trump, like he softened his stance a little bit here where he didn't fully go back and take it back. And what I want to do is step away from the president for a second here, and let's go into some other folks who are part of the administration who have sway and who have pull and who have simply been doubling down into the narrative that this woman is this woman was a domestic terrorist, and everything she was doing here and everything that happened to her was otherwise justified. Let's go on with the Vice President himself, JD Vance, who claims ICE agents have absolute immunity and can never be prosecuted for anything done on the job, which is absolutely not true, completely ridiculous, and I don't know what this man is smoking on. But like, let's find out together, I guess.
Thanks for taking my question. So the head of Minnesota's investigations agency says that the U.S. Attorney's Office has essentially cut off the state investigations agency's access to the investigation. What is the precedent for that, and why shouldn't the Minnesota officials on the ground have access and evidence to work on this investigation?
First of all, I wish the state officials in Minnesota would investigate why you have so many people who are using their vehicles and other means to actually interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation. The precedent here is very simple. You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity. He was doing his job. The idea that Tim Walz and a bunch of radicals in Minneapolis are going to go after and make this guy's life miserable because he was doing the job that he was asked to do is preposterous.
This statement is kind of crazy. All right. Number one, there is no absolute immunity for law enforcement officers. Everybody is held to a standard for the law. Do these guys have more leeway for things that they can do? Absolutely. But absolute immunity does not exist. And what's crazy is that this is not some random guy on Twitter. Okay? This ain't some random guy on Twitter. This ain't some random guy yapping on YouTube like me. This is the Vice President of the United States. And what makes it worse, guys, and why I don't like JD Vance is because JD Vance knows better. See, like, this is the problem. There's people in Trump's administration who are like true Kool-Aid drinkers. Okay? And I think they're like idiots who kind of really like failed upwards. But like, they're smart in a way because they got themselves in a position to fail upwards, right? And there's some people online, for example, who are like true believers. Someone like JD Vance, he knows better. He's a very smart dude, okay? In fact, like, before he jumped on the Trump train, he had nothing but bad things to say about Trump. Like, everyone always talks about that. And if you hear how he used to talk about Trump, you hear a more sober mind. And I'm not saying you have to be anti-Trump to be sober mind, but I'm saying, like, this dude talks like he's from within the cult right now. And I know he's smart enough to know the difference. So he just like takes pride in how he can gaslight you and just spin a narrative. He's not trying to be real for a second. He's not trying to be presidential for a second. He's not trying to be decent for a second. He just is like, what are the marching orders? What is it that I'm supposed to do? And what do they do? Like, oh, okay, well, I'm supposed to go and defend our side no matter what. I'm going to do it. And for me, this is absolutely fake and ridiculous. This dude knows there's no such thing as absolute immunity for law enforcement officers. He knows this. He doesn't care. That's why someone like this guy cannot be president. Donald Trump is bad enough, but Donald Trump is nowhere near as smart as JD Vance. He's just Donald Trump's smarts come in his ability to market, not in his ability to understand the inner workings of government, in my view. Someone like this guy, he's smart enough to do that, but he's just a ghoul and he's ridiculous. And he shouldn't be anywhere near power after this. So if this guy tries to run in 2028, he needs to crash and burn because he's a ridiculous person. All right. We got more from JD Vance. We got more than JD Vance. Man, we got more. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself today. I don't know what I'm doing this to myself today. All right, here we go. All right, so another tweet we have who is this guy? Sarab Amari. I'm not sure who this is, but we have JD Vance responding to somebody. They say, okay, so this angle settles it. She actually makes contact with the officer in front of the vehicle. So these guys are trying to say. You can hate ICE, but this angle is definitive. He fired in self-defense after making frontal contact. So what we have here is like a moment from like Tim Pool and all these other losers online saying that, trying to drive home the narrative that this lady is trying to like kill the police officer, even though her wheel is turned away, even though the police officer is perfectly fine and gets to walk away from the scene uninjured, unharmed. And then we basically have more of this type of piling on from all these guys right now online who are just trying to simply spin their narrative, right? That the officer did nothing wrong, that there should be no investigation, and that like he's perfectly fine before a formal investigation was even done, which again is never the precedent for situations like correct. You can accept that this woman's death is a tragedy while acknowledging it's a tragedy of her own making. Don't illegally interfere in federal law and law enforcement operations and try to run over our officers with your car. It's really that simple. So again, this comes off as incredibly cold because it is. He's simply just saying like, you know, it's her fault, right? And again, like I said, like what happened here today with that lady is no death sentence. At worst, you can tell her and you can say, hey, she shouldn't have tried to drive away when those guys were that hostile surrounding her car. And I would agree with you on that. I think that in itself is an act of self-preservation, just because these guys are that unhinged anyway. At the same time, it doesn't matter. What she did was not a death sentence, and it did not deserve her being shot 3 times and running into a tree afterwards, right? So, again, these guys are just like the worst. All right, we have a clip of JD Vance kind of saying this in the tweet, in another interview, part of that initial interview we were looking at before. Let's just take a look at this clip real quick.
Taking questions today. Is there a risk with you describing her as a deranged leftist, talking about very specific facts of these events, when an investigation is just beginning? Are you preempting a thorough investigation by drawing such conclusions? And have you received any information beyond the videos we've seen publicly about this individual, her specific acts, that has informed your point of view?
Well, first of all, the Department of Justice is going to investigate this. The Department of Homeland Security is already investigating this. But the simple fact is, what you see is what you get in this case. You have a woman who is trying to obstruct a legitimate law enforcement operation. Nobody debates that. You have a woman who aimed her car at a law enforcement officer and pressed on the accelerator. Nobody debates that. I can believe that her death is a tragedy, while also recognizing that it's a tragedy of her own making and a tragedy of the far left who has marshaled an entire movement, a lunatic fringe, against our law enforcement officers.
All right. So, I mean, again, like what is ridiculous about this clip is that it kind of goes to what I'm saying before. These guys don't know how to be what we would have called presidential, right? They don't know how to be like in a moment like this. They just don't know how to be professional. Like simply put, like the first thing, as the reporter was asking, do you think it makes sense for trying to frame this as a left-right dynamic and her as this crazy radical leftist who wants to do X, Y, Z? And it's like there is a place for these type of discussions. It's not saying that trying to determine how we get to a certain point is wrong, but it's the way in which these guys do this. They don't have like it's like we all have a video where we can see, all right, clearly something wrong happened here. And then they immediately jump out the window. This guy has absolute immunity. He did nothing wrong. He's completely innocent. And then what we have is we have cases where local law enforcement right now is being blocked out by federal law enforcement from investigating this further, right? And so given how this administration has been acting from the top down, this is the vice president right now basically drawing his conclusions about what happened. This guy basically is giving us the conclusion to an investigation that hasn't even been done yet. It should be of a surprise to nobody that people do not have confidence when these guys are running the investigation and blocking out local law enforcement, the Minneapolis PD and anyone in Minnesota for that matter, from being able to look into this and draw their own conclusions and run their own investigation. Because again, the way the Trump administration acts is that everyone is an extension of Trump at this point. I mean, I think we've been hearing some clips today about him going after Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, in an unprecedented move because basically he don't like the dude for not lowering interest rates fast enough, right? Like they just go and like the DOJ at this point is not independent. It is pretty much an arm of Donald Trump and what he wants to do. And in prior administrations, like whether or not the people heading the departments were appointees of the president, which they are, they still try to at least have a veneer of independence. Whereas with this administration, it's all just one giant, ridiculous arm. And so, like, you got to understand that people are going to feel weird when it is the vice president now immediately drawing conclusions about the investigation and saying, oh, yeah, there's an investigation being done, but like we're blocking out local law enforcement. It is a federal matter now. And like you guys can't say or do anything about it. And by the way, I already told you what my conclusions are. Here they are. So like, what's the point of an investigation in the first place? Right. Again, it's kind of hard to look at this and be like, yeah, this is something that I like or appreciate because these guys are just like the worst. OK. All right. We got some more. We're going to do a final reaction to members of the Trump administration with Kristi Noem, right? Head of what is it, DHS? And what she had to say in the immediate aftermath of this situation. Again, if you haven't gotten the theme yet, it's all not great, okay? They're all spinning up BS narratives, and we are supposed to buy it. So even though we have a video to see what happened in front of us that day. So let's keep going, guys.
Weapons.
All right. All right. So, man. So, guys, a little bit of context. Right after Renee Good was murdered, she was immediately labeled as a domestic terrorist by Kristi Noem. Okay, so she is the secretary of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Now, understand how ridiculous this is, that the government would immediately label you a domestic terrorist before you are even in the ground. Before they even know anything about the information, about the situation, they just label you a terrorist so that way they can start building their narrative. And they did it immediately. It was not even a day. It was within hours that they started labeling this woman a terrorist. Okay? Because, you know, she's a terrorist. It's justified, right? And that's exactly what they're going for. Let's see what our Department of Homeland Security's secretary or whatever she is. Let's see what she had to say.
You know, people need to stop using their vehicles as weapons. This domestic act of terrorism to use your vehicle to try to kill law enforcement officers is going to stop. And I'm asking the Department of Justice to prosecute it as domestic terrorism because it's clear that it's being coordinated. People are being trained and told how to use their vehicles to impede law enforcement operations and then to run over anybody who gets in their way while they go out there and try to disrupt peace and public safety. And Americans deserve better. You know, people need to...
Okay, see, like, I think when I first heard this clip, I found it ridiculous. When she was like, we're going to go and prosecute it as domestic terrorism. And I was just like, you mean prosecute the woman who y'all killed? That one? Not her, but that random ICE officer. And it's like, no. She's like trying to pull it back and say, no, we're going to prosecute people who are trying to attack ICE with cars as domestic terrorists. And I'm just like, it begins. Right? They're like, we're not going to focus on the issue at hand. We're not going to talk about it at all. Instead, what we're going to do is we're just going to label a dead woman a domestic terrorist immediately in order to start spinning our narrative. That's what they do. And I mean, it's just like, I cannot express my disappointment enough, guys, with this administration and how they conduct themselves. And it's just like, these are the same people that want sympathy from you when something happens, right? Like for example, it's like Charlie Kirk died, and then all of a sudden the warriors of free speech were trying to get people canceled for saying like, hey, you know, it's not great that Charlie Kirk got shot, but like he wasn't necessarily a great dude, or like I didn't really like his opinions or views. People, they was out here trying to cancel folks like, oh, you can't do that, and you need to have deference to our political figures and leaders. And it's like they can't even show deference to a lady, an American citizen who was shot on U.S. soil for no damn reason. They can't even do that, right? It's like the bar is in hell, guys. There's absolutely like nothing that these guys. Like, there's no shame. There's just no shame. That's what I'm looking for. These guys don't have shame. Okay, and what we're gonna see right now is Kristi Noem over the weekend. I'm guessing. Went on to Jake Tapper, and he pretty much confronted her about some of these things that she's been saying in reference to the situation, and some of her views about other situations when you compare the two. This will probably be our last clip in reference to reacting to bogus narratives and responses, and then we'll move on from there. Okay. All right. Here we got this. Again, by the way, guys, if you like this long yapping session or you appreciate the live streams, be sure to like and share the video. Anyways, we'll keep it going.
You've also been criticized for your comments. The shooting, we should note, was Wednesday at 10:37 a.m. Eastern. Just over 2 hours later, the Department of Homeland Security put out a statement definitively asserting what had happened, defending the ICE agent, accusing Renee Good of domestic terrorism. That's a characterization that you reiterated in a press conference half an hour later. Now, Republican Senator Tom Tillis said, quote, "It was very unusual to have a senior law enforcement official to draw a conclusion about an event where the scene was still being processed. Generally speaking, law enforcement would recognize that a life was lost, that families are changed forever, the shooter's life will change forever. We're collecting video. We're trying to assess the situation." Why did you not wait for an investigation before making your comments?
The most basic and simple question anyone could have asked. Because, mind you, that was a Republican senator. Because in a normal world, the way things used to run, in a more polite society, that is exactly what you would do. Right? You wouldn't have the heads of departments jumping out the gun and saying, like, basically there's no need to do an investigation because we've already drawn the conclusion that we want to have. Right? Like, whether or not they believe that, whether or not it was all smoke and mirrors, they still followed a process that was supposed to be, or at least somewhat believable. That way we can at least trust that our government at least cares about these processes. But what we have right now is just authoritarian nonsense. Okay? They already have the conclusion that they want. They jumped out the window with it, and it didn't matter what happened. They didn't decide to wait or say, hey, a life was lost. Some people's lives are about to be impacted. They just said, domestic terrorists, who cares? Let's keep it going.
Well, everything that I've said has been proven to be factual and the truth. This administration wants to operate in transparency. I have the responsibility as the Secretary of Homeland Security to know this information as soon as possible. Had just been in Minneapolis the day before, had already had conversations with officers on the ground and supervisors, and knew the facts, and decided that the department and the people of this country deserve to know the truth of the situation of what had unfolded in Minneapolis.
Well, with all due respect, Secretary.
Isn't it crazy how they just like they just do that? Like, it's like, oh, hey, by the way, everything I said is the truth. And it's like they just look at you in your face and try to gaslight you. Like, we didn't just watch the video together. Like it's not plastered all over the internet. Like, we don't have eyes. It's just like, nah, what are you trying to say? Everything I said was true. Like, why are you mad right now? What are we even saying? Ridiculous.
Terry, the first thing you said was, quote, "What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow." Correct. Because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. That's not what happened. We all saw what happened.
It absolutely is what happened. Those officers had been out in enforcement action. A vehicle had been stuck. They had come to
Hold on, let's bring that back.
And those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. That's not what happened. We all saw what happened.
It absolutely is what happened.
You see how they just like make it up in like a bold-faced lie, and she's looking at you like, whatever do you mean? That's exactly what happened. It doesn't matter that you didn't see it in the video. That's what I want to happen. That's what I said happened. And that's what people will believe because that's what we said. And the problem is like, she's literally telling you right now, do not believe your lying eyes. Like, it is the wildest thing in the world. And this is the level of zero shame I'm talking about in the Trump era and administration, because like he hires people who have lower and lower shame, because if you have any shame, you can't keep doing this. You can't go out here. Like, y'all remember Sean Spicer? The, oh man, what was that dude's name? He's the press secretary, right? You remember how terrible he looked when he first got hired? Because they told him to go out there. I think the first thing they had him do, the first humiliation ritual this guy had to do is he had to go out there and say like, oh, you know, Trump had the biggest crowds during inauguration day ever, right? Again, when there's like video proof between like him and like Obama, right? And it's verifiably false. It's provably false. It's laughably false. And so you saw him trying to go out there and gaslight folks, and he had some shame in him. So he had a big problem doing it. AKA, he wasn't able to keep a straight face. He wasn't even able to keep it together. You visibly saw him cracking, trying to be as full of shit as he was. But this woman here is a pro. Okay? This woman right here is a pro. She can look you dead in your face and tell you what you saw in the video was not what you saw. Do not believe your lying eyes. And that's some crazy power. That is a crazy lack of shame. Let's keep it going. I'm sorry, I'm yapping too much, guys.
Those officers had been out in enforcement action. A vehicle had been stuck. They had come to help get that vehicle out. That's when this individual started blocking traffic for minutes and minutes.
You said that the woman attacked them and surrounded them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle.
Blocked the road for a long time and was yelling at them and impeding a federal law enforcement investigation. And that's what you need to focus on, Jake, is they were breaking the law by impeding and obstructing a law enforcement operation. They were breaking the law already, and these officers were doing their due diligence of what their training had prepared them to do to make sure they were handling it appropriately.
You said within hours of her being killed, you said that she was a domestic terrorist. How do you define domestic terrorist?
She weaponized her vehicle to conduct an act of violence against a law enforcement officer and the public. How can
you assert with certainty that she was trying to hurt the officer as opposed to she was trying to flee the scene?
If you look at what the definition of domestic terrorism is, it completely fits the situation on the ground. This individual, as you saw in the video that we released just 48 hours after this incident, showed that this officer was hit by her vehicle, she weaponized it, and he defended his life and those colleagues around him and the public.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, this is kind of like what it is I'm talking about, right? Like, you can kind of see the questions he's asking, right? How do you know that what we're watching is someone trying to attack the police officer versus someone trying to flee the scene where the police officers are? And I would say we all watched the video together. We all broke it down together, and we all simply understood what it was that we were watching and seeing. And we have a person who had turned the wheel all the way away from the officer, clearly trying to drive a path that is away from them, not towards them, right? Even at the point in which she's shot and the car is pretty much running on autopilot at that point, if she was attempting to hit them, it would have continued to go in the direction that it was facing at the point in which she was shot. But somehow it goes the opposite direction, which is where she was going in the first place. And these people don't care. They want you to not believe your lying eyes. And I think everything about the situation is really sad in that it again is a demonstration of the sheer incompetence of this administration. It's a demonstration of this new era of like Trump postmodernism where like he don't give a damn. They don't give a damn about what the truth is. It is what their truth is. Whatever the truth they need in order for it to be what beneficial to them and whatever end goal that they have. In this case, they want to make it seem like, hey, we're out here enforcing immigration law and ICE is the best ever and we are the best at doing this. And so nothing or any story that can go against that is acceptable. And so if they need to gaslight you in your face, if they need to make something up, if they need to tell you to stop believing your lying eyes, they absolutely will do it. And it's just like ridiculous because it's like, again, I keep saying this, but like, do they not understand that we have it on video? Like, do they not understand that we can't like we can see this? It's just really crazy to think that these folks don't care. Like the level of shame is just in the ground, and it is ridiculous to me to see that is the state of the country and the turn of events that we have at the moment. Guys, we're gonna be ending up soon, but I just wanted to share with you a couple more reactions from notable political figures involved in all of this. Yeah, man, there's so much like Kristi Noem clips I could probably be going through, but like I'm a couple days late to this, and there's been so much discourse all over the past few days in reference to this that there is no way I'm getting to it all. But I just kind of wanted to get the key points across. Gaslighting narratives and not believing your lying eyes. If there's any takeaway y'all have from today's stream, I need you to understand that much. All right, I'm going to share with you one reaction we have from the mayor of Minneapolis, and he kind of he's kind of the spirit animal of all folks who are going insane, kind of watching all of this. So let's get a glimpse of his reaction here right now, and then we'll keep it moving as we're going towards our end here. Very short clip.
So they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bullshit.
Right? I mean, he's not saying anything that we all already don't know. He isn't saying anything that is surprising. He isn't saying anything that is unexpected. And I dare anybody to say, oh, this man's being unprofessional because, like, do we really care that he's using naughty words versus ICE officers going out and just like killing people in the streets for no damn reason, or heads of federal agencies just straight up gaslighting us? Like we are beyond the point of the stupid things that these folks might say in response to the response from the Minneapolis mayor here. Oh man, I had one other clip of him basically saying that ICE needs to get the F out of. Oh, here it is. I was looking for it. All right, here we go.
And I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis.
There it is.
I have a message.
We'll let him say it one more time because it's well said.
To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis.
All right. Now, oh man. All right. Great. Shout outs to Mayor Jacob Frey here from Minneapolis, because that's that's generally the feeling that we have. All right. So at this point, I'll just say I don't have enough information about it, but I think as of today or maybe yesterday, the Governor Tim Walz and the folks in Minnesota are officially going to be suing the federal government to get ICE out of the state. I think the point of the lawsuit is to say that they've simply overreached, they've done too much, and that their presence is causing more harm than good, especially given the turn of events and everything that we're discussing here today. Tensions have been rising, especially in Minneapolis with some of, not Minneapolis, but Minnesota in general, with some of the attention that they've been getting in the media lately. And it's just all a mess there. So, yeah, guys, I think that just about covers it today. I will say, again, just to wrap up, I think it is an absolute tragedy that was completely avoidable. I don't think that what ICE is doing around the country and their complete lack of professionalism, them kind of walking around like mass thugs, not trying to show their face, not doing anything, and violating due process and all these other laws all over the country is clearly not good for anybody. It is not that they can't do what they have to do, but like do it with some damn humanity and dignity for the people that you're interacting with, right? Again, this is an American citizen. This is someone who did not have to die that day. This is like just another one of those BS reasons that people look to be trigger happy, right? Like he wasn't threatened. He knew he was fine. He shot her anyway. He did it out of anger, not out of fear. It was not self-defense. It was just strictly being upset that the wife was standing up to them and cursing them out earlier, and then they had the gall to try and run away. It's just straight up ridiculous again. So I say with that end there, shout outs to Renee Good and her family. Condolences to them. Hopefully they are able to do ICE and find some solace in a victory there. But more importantly, justice for Renee after some charges are brought against the officer, because like dude does not have absolute immunity. That was ridiculous. And again, like I feel like he broke 1,001 different protocols to act the way he did, and without having any accountability, that is a complete incarriage of justice. And in my view, if he gets away with it now, I don't think he's getting away with it in a couple of years. I mean, like someone's got to check the statute of limitations on things. Like if he gets away with it now, then I'll just say he might be good for the next 2 years, and then we'll see what happens in 2028, because I doubt it. But that's just my thought there. So again, condolences to the family of Renee Good. Guys, we're going to end it here. For anyone who's joined the live stream today, thank you for joining in on with me and listening to me yap. If you appreciate it, of course, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. That is the Jespective. What's yours? Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you have not already, and subscribe again, as I got much more content like this on the way. So until next time, YouTube, I am done yapping today. So peace.